Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fernanda Perez, and I welcome all of you to the 2013 Clarkston mayoral discussion. Our three candidates for November 5th elections are current Mayor Emanuel Ransom, Ibrahim Sufi, and Ted Terry. I will be your host this afternoon. This discussion is brought to you by Sagal Radio in collaboration with Emory University Center for Community Partnership and the City of Clarkston. We asked our listeners to send in questions and segment subjects through the internet and other means. For the record, they were not submitted by the approval of any of these candidates. These questions will drive today's discussion. My goal is to give the discussion direction and to ensure questions get answered. I would appreciate it if all cell phones would be turned off. Remain respectful throughout the whole discussion. Please no clapping, cheering, booing, or any other distracting noise during the discussion. Talking is not permitted. We are giving our candidates 2 minutes to answer each question. There will be a timer to make sure they don't go over since time is limited. By agreeing to do this, you understand Sagal Radio has the right to use the content in whole or in part. We are about a month and a half away from Election Day, and there are many people wanting to hear from all of you. So let's begin. Do you believe that the city has a responsibility for the quality of the local public schools serving Clarkston's residents? Please explain.
You want me to start? Do I think?
Do you believe that the city has a responsibility for the quality of the local public schools serving Clarkston's residents? Please explain.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I've been so involved with the DeKalb County school system even since the new board has been elected. Joyce Morley, our district rep, that I've been working with closely with, and also Chris Morris. I don't know how many of you know about FLOPS, is the program for inter-educational between the high school and the colleges. And I've been promoting that program because it will bring revenue to the city. It will bring homeowners to the city. It will create a better environment for our kids. Totally, it'll keep them out of the streets and breaking into people's houses, so forth and so on. But yes, the city has a responsibility to have a close relationship with the DeKalb County School Board. And I do have a close relationship with them because I've been knowing Michael Thurman since he was the director of labor, and also back when he was the human resources director. But and he has a good program going. He knows the needs of Clarkston. I have presented it to him, and they are working on it, I mean, with vigor. So yes, the city has a responsibility. They are working with the school system, and we will get it accomplished if I'm elected.
So you do believe education is like one of the key priorities?
Education is the key. It's the key factor, because without knowledge you fail, and that's what we have to create with our kids. And with the dual enrollment down at the Clarkston High School, gives them, when they come out, is an associate degree. So you know, from associate degree, what happens? People further their education on, and it builds a better community for everybody. Yes.
How about you?
Education, I think the city definitely has everything to do with it. The carrying attitude has been amongst the council members and other officials that I speak with. Every time I mention the issue of education, the first thing that almost automatically people say is, well, you know, the schools are outside the city limits, so we have little power and can't do much about it. But we also understand that this schools was zoned for all residents of Clarkston. The mayor mentions his relationship with his county officials, but right now, up to this point, nothing much has been achieved. Nothing has been done. The schools have been soaring for the past 10 years. Everybody is aware where our school ratings are on national level. We're second from below. So what has failed to happen is community action, community coming together. It's the same thing you see here. Everybody who is sitting here now is almost a regular in council meetings, but the entire rest of the community is not involved. I know the city doesn't have the financial budget to take effective measures right away, but if you get the voices of each and every parent, then you can lobby a lot stronger and a lot harder, and the current administration has failed to build that relationship with the citizens.
Do you have a plan on how to get the community?
Absolutely. I will look, we have very limited resources in the city. The major resources we have is the residents who live here. We have to empower them. We have to let them know exactly what's going on. We are also dealing with a big immigrant minority, a majority here that is 30 years behind social spectrum. who don't quite understand the importance of education. We need to train them, we need to work with them, we need to work with the organizations that bring them. That way, if we create awareness, I think we could do a lot better with the schools.
How about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, first off, I just want to thank you to Hassan and Brenda and Sagal Radio for hosting this first forum. Very much appreciate all the work that y'all do every day. Thank you for the citizens and area citizens of Clarkston who came out to the Women's Club today. Could have been doing a lot more fun things on your Saturday, but you chose to be involved, so thank you for being involved. Yes, even though we have no physical schools in the Clarkston city limits, we obviously have many residents and are affected by the schools in our area. So it's important for the school system and the city government to work together. Indian Creek Elementary I see as a prime opportunity for the city to coordinate with on a more regular basis. I personally am joining the PTA. I recently learned from Adam Nykamp that non-parents or teachers can join the PTA, and I think that's a great opportunity for the citizens to be more involved in our early childhood education. As we know, if we work with kids early on in their schooling, they can be much more successful later on in life. The Clarkston High School internship program that is currently with the city, I think is phenomenal. I want to expand it. I think the more mentorship opportunities we provide for our high schoolers, especially juniors and seniors, will give them a better perspective on, one, how their government works, but also a greater perspective and feeling about when folks come together and work together that we can accomplish a lot. The apartment complexes, I think, are also key for the education system. I've noticed that there are some apartment complexes that have after-school programs, and they've actually been tremendously effective. I'm very hopeful about the apartment after-school program at Willow Branch Apartments. They have 92 kids in their after-school program. Indian Creek Elementary School is right next door to Willow Branch, and while Indian Creek Elementary as a whole is one of the lowest performing schools in the state on standardized tests, the kids at the after-school program at Willow Branch have actually excelled. And this is a testament to the fact that even though you're in school for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, there's a lot of schooling that takes place after school. So I think it's important for the city to work with the apartment complexes in and around Clarkston to really provide those opportunities for after-school opportunities, whether they be helping folks learn the tests, whether it be more emphasis on the arts or sports, and overall involvement in the community.
Okay, thank you. Is there a plan to create a safer community? How do you plan to stop violence in Clarkston? And what can the mayor do to improve public safety? Mr. Ransom.
The mayor's office is just another link in government. And as you know, public safety is controlled by our police department. And the only thing that we can do is to give our input to the police department on different concerns that the public has, and then it's up to our professionals to move forward on making this a safer community. You know, one thing about public safety that I've learned, that hysteria breeds confusion. And it's on the part of the citizens to make a better effort to have a close relationship with our police officers. Like I was telling people at the neighborhood watch meeting, I know all my neighbors. I know what cars they drive. I know exactly what time they come home. I know who their kids are. I know who some of their children's friends are. These are the things that we need to create a safer community. And some people are just plain lazy, and they won't pay attention. And then they tell us, oh, I don't want to keep calling the police. And like I tell them, if you have to pick up the phone 40 times and dial 911, you dial 911. That's what you pay for. That's your tax money at work. I don't care how many times a police officer has to be called. He's going to come out there, he's going to check it out and make sure the community is safe. So I think it's just a factor of relationships between the police department and the community, and the perception that the community has about police officers. They feel that, oh, they just out there stopping cars and giving tickets.
So you believe like a better relationship between police and the...
There's no... I don't know how many of you here is as old as I am, But when I was a kid, I knew the police officer on the beat. He knew me. He knew my family. He knew my sister, my brothers, my teachers at my school. That's where the relationship comes from. That's how we know, hey, you don't belong there. That kid doesn't belong in that house. What is he doing at that doorstep? Yes, sir. Pick up the phone and call.
How about you?
Look, public safety and education are two main factors people move in and out of cities. And unfortunately, Clarkston has been experiencing the latter. I've read a report that Chief of Police has released to the public on the new way that she is going to address public safety. And I think it's if implemented, it's very effective. Public safety in the city is not something that the police department as an individual entity can solve, or any other community as an individual entity will be able to solve. I think it's a collaboration that needs to take place between residents and the police. The residents need to gain back the trust of the police department. Many of them have lost it. And when I'm mayor, I will make sure that that relationship builds back again.
Why do you think they lost the relationship?
Quite a number of reasons. It depends on who you ask. Majority of residents in the city feel like they are being targeted by police departments. And most of them are aware that the police department raises $1 million from traffic citations. And that is financially unsustainable for a city with very limited resources like this. So we have to make sure we build that relationship with, look, there's something undeniable that happens when you go to your neighbor and shake his hand and look him in the eye and you tell him, look, when you're outside, when you're away from your home, I'm watching your house, and vice versa. The community has to come together. People have to build that relationship back again.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, so safer streets and safer sidewalks are key for our city. I believe that folks who live in the city should have freedom from worry of robbery, burglary, or being shot at. We should also have the freedom to walk, run, bike in and through our city without risk of injury. Those are the principles that I will base our safety standards on. We have to give our police the tools they need to catch criminals and to reduce crime. That means whether it be the police license plate scanners that have helped actually track down warrants or stolen vehicles. Our neighbors Mary and Adam Hoyt had their car stolen recently, and DeKalb police have these police license plate scanners that were able to, while they're out on patrol, scan license plates and flag that this is a stolen vehicle, and they were able to recover that vehicle. Those things are expensive, so I think we need to be very conservative in the budget about how we pay for those upgrades. I don't want to see an increase in taxes to pay for additional police services, but they are a top priority. I don't believe that the police department gets $1 million a year from citations. I think that's a little high, actually. I think the annual budget is about $1 million. Just most of it comes from city taxes. However, I think everyone does realize that a higher percentage of the police budgets, this police department's budget, come from citations compared to the city of Atlanta. So that is a concern. And I'd like to have a policy of forgiveness first, and an understanding for our residents. And if it's your first time rolling through a stop sign or maybe speeding a little bit over the speed limits, if you live in Clarkston, I think our police should give the benefit of the doubt and have a better relationship and rapport with our residents.
Okay. Give us an example of type of businesses and industries you believe our residents want in Clarkston. As mayor, what will you do to bring them to our city?
As mayor, when I wasn't mayor, we were trying to bring businesses to our city with our former mayor, Howard Tigert, and also Lee Swaney, because as everybody knows, we don't have a financial institution in this city. And I've been trying to pull every bank that I know of into the city, and we had an offer to put an ATM machine downtown, and for some reason, somebody defunct it, and I don't know who it was yet. But yes, I want a sustainable community down in town center, an active community, because like I was telling a gentleman the other day, I have to go out of Clarkston sometimes to get me a hot dog or a hamburger, and I don't want that. I want to be able to spend my money right downtown in Center City, Clarkston, and we need to have a variety of things. I tell people that when you want to take a trip abroad, you don't need to come to Clarkston. You don't have to spend $1,500 for a ticket. Come down to Clarkston. It's so diverse that you have almost every country in Africa here. And who loves Africa but me? I've been to Africa. I think it's a beautiful culture. But I want to be able to also get some American cuisine. And we have a population around us, for instance, like with Decatur, Stone Mountain, Pine Lake, that if we had a variety of excellent restaurants, outdoor restaurants, because City Council passed an outdoor ordinance where we could have outdoor restaurants. So that's an avenue. That's an avenue to draw commerce in. But I need to be able to say to somebody, there's a location there, it's a prime location, and the people will patronize you. That's the key. If they don't patronize it, the people can't make any money. So we can't bring them here. But we've had offers from Portillo Brothers, from Ackerman, and everybody to come to this city. But we don't have the space, folks. That's why we're going to annex. We don't have the space to place some of these businesses that do want to come to Clarkston. But my opponents have no idea of what's going on. None whatsoever. Thank you. I'm finished.
Look, I would, everybody here, including myself, would love to see Clarkston flourish. I want to see the best businesses that we have in everywhere else in Atlanta to be here. But it's good to be practical. And I cannot, when I'm mayor, I would love to go to Starbucks and tell them, hey, please, would you put a coffee shop? My community really needs it. They will come down here and look at the city and they'll tell me, no, we're not going to put it because it doesn't favor their kind of business, or they will not generate the kind of revenue they need. So my major concern, I'm going to work with already existing businesses in this city, and I will support them, and I will build. I'm a small business owner myself. I know the challenges of running a small business. All right, the last thing small businesses needs is $2,000 to $3,000 fines from city officials. The business community in Clarkston has also lost their trust with the current administration. They feel like they've been pushed away. And I spoke with almost all of them. And the mayor here knows what I'm talking about. All right? So I would make sure we make it easy for them to do business, make sure we could bring them together, and they, look, once we have the relationship with them, compliance and collaboration from businesses is going to be easy. Okay? If these businesses go away and nobody wants to come, what are you going to do? I would rather have all this business we have currently flourish than have a ghost city. So my plan is to support current businesses in Clarkston. All right? And that could be done by several ways. And the most impactful one is to build a relationship with them and to gain their trust once more.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Chair?
Yes, so my plan and ideas come straight from the people. I've knocked on hundreds of doors in Clarkston in the past few months, and I'm finding that our citizens actually have a lot of really great ideas and knowledge and expertise when it comes to development, small business, entrepreneurship. And I think we ought to promote that. Number one, we have to have a downtown development authority. Every modern city in Georgia that is looking to redevelop their main streets has a downtown development authority. Recent state laws have given new powers to promote more sustainable and green development with a downtown development authority. And so I think that's very key. Now, this authority would be a group of citizens, business leaders, and other potential experts on this area to really come up with a unified plan for how we use downtown. I think one of the biggest things I hear from folks at the door is they'd like to see the Market Street area be more walkable, take it back from the cars, give the pedestrians more access to provide smaller type businesses, kiosks and things like that. Something that's working great in Atlanta right now is this idea of a shared workspace. The modern 21st century world means you don't have to have a brick and mortar store to open up a business anymore. All you need is an internet connection, a telephone line, and a conference room every once in a while. And these things can cost a couple $100s a month as opposed to thousands of dollars in rent for aspiring entrepreneurs. So I'd like to see more opportunities for shared workspace. My favorite place to get coffee in Clarkston is actually at the Omega House, which is on Ponce de Leon. So we actually do have coffee shops here in Clarkston. They make great Ethiopian food as well as custom ordered espresso coffee. I encourage everyone to go there, and I try to encourage everyone that I talk to and outside of Clarkston to come to Clarkston and enjoy the amazing food and restaurants that we currently have here. And I hope that we can continue to grow upon that and bring in new businesses and new jobs that are higher paying and also have good benefits.
Okay. Why is now a good time for you to be mayor of the city?
Why now?
Yeah. Why is now a good
Well,
time?
because, I'm not a vindictive person, and I'm not an angry person, but, I appreciate these two candidates running for office, but I don't think either one of them are qualified to hold this office. I wasn't qualified at one time, but I stayed in the fight. I have a long record of attending, learning, practicing, implementing, and especially with our council. It's so many things these guys are talking about that are so untrue. Our council lady sitting over there helped with an after-school program in the apartments. I mean, I haven't seen either one of these two candidates in the last 4 years. I've been mayor. Not one of them. And they are telling you what you want to hear. And I don't ever put anything past voters. Ever put anything past you guys. But you need to know, you need to learn and listen. I have an established record. What I have visioned, I have put in place. The council has acted on some of it. The Downtown Development Authority, that's in the works, folks. All of that's in the works. You need to come up there and ask questions. Don't have people that want to run for the office to lead you, to tell you what you want to hear, because I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you ask me a question, yes, the Downtown Development Authority is getting ready to be in place. Yes, we're going to annex. Yes, we're working on a better, safer community. Yes, we don't have the money to buy plate scanners. If you want us to spend $25,000 on it, tell us, so we'll spend your taxpayers' money on it, rather than to put it into another officer to put on the street to make it a safer community. But I'm going to make this a race of ethics. I'm going to be straightforward, honest, and plain. Before I lie, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Whatever you.
I've invested in this city. I've lived in this city for 10 years. And I have 4 kids in this city and a beautiful wife. And I believe, and I'm sure I know, I have the interpersonal skills required to build relationships. Look, I always say relationships, 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 because that is what it takes. Nobody shows up for council meeting. You have 6 people show up for council meeting because they have lost trust in this administration, all right? When you put a vision for a city, it's not my vision. It's the vision of the residents of that city. And when I have a vision, I draw a vision, and I see what it looks like, and I make sure other people also see what this vision looks like. The residents of this city have to be a part of that visioning process. Mary Hoyt and Adam Hoyt do an extensive good job in doing just that. They call people in their homes, they invite them, and they talk about these things, right? So I know this is my time to be mayor. I know this is my time to be mayor because I've already made relationships with businesses, and I know there's 50 different nationalities who live in this city, who most of them feel like they are not being a part of the team. I want to bring them to the table. I want them to be voiced. I want to hear what vision they have for this city. You know, I'm an engineer. I could draw up many visions, but that's not why I'm getting elected to public office. I'm getting elected to public office so that I can hear other people's story and make them a part of the visioning system.
What about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, I think this is a fantastic opportunity for the community to come together and to talk about these issues. And this is why we have a democracy. And every 4 years, we have an opportunity for the people to have a discussion about these issues. It's very important. I think it's fantastic. And to be technical, everyone who's running for mayor, this is all of ours first election for mayor. All right, so this is the first election that each of us are actually running to be elected as mayor. And I think that's important. It's a great opportunity for the community to have that discussion. This is not any one person's seat, it's the people's seat. And public service is within my heart. It's something that I've done for my entire adult life. I got involved in politics and government when I was 18 years old. And I was over at the Clarkston International Bible Church this morning, and Pastor Phil Kitchen said, well, why are you running? And I said, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I would have run for public office when I was 18. I felt like I was ready for it, if I had experience for it. But I decided that I was going to work for elected officials, work for government, work for a U.S. congressman, work for county commissioners, city councilmen, mayors, state reps, and state senators all over Georgia the past 12 years. And you get to see a lot of how different governments operate and how different public officials operate. And I've seen a lot of really great ones, some not so great ones. And I like to think that I learn and pick up a lot of the good skills and good traits from the ones who have been good public servants. I think it's time for a change. I think we need new energy to lead Clarkston. I know that we can be a world-class city, and I know we have that potential to be a world-class city, and I want to work for y'all.
What initiative and/or legislation will you introduce during your term as mayor?
Well, I have one piece of legislation. It's not actually legislation, it's a resolution that I've been working on to try to introduce, and that's a domestic partnership resolution I've been trying to get on the work session for the council to look at and consider, because I think it's a travesty that we don't have one. I had been aware of that situation some time ago, and Avondale just passed theirs not too long ago, and it's a good resolution. It's not a resolution that the city's going to issue marriage licenses to gay couples and all that. No, it's giving that couple, all the couples, the right to have a say-so over their partner whenever there's a medical emergency, because they don't have it now. And I think the city of Clarkston, as somebody said, we're not a recognized community. Oh yes, we are, folks, because let me tell you something. Your mayor was given a full plane ticket and hotel fare and expense voucher to go to Albuquerque to discuss you guys, to talk about you, to let the people know what we're doing and how we're doing it and how we're addressing our issues. So to say we're not a world-class city, oh yes we are. And I've never tooted my horn, but I had a couple friends tell me, Ransom, you need to start telling people what you did and how you did it, and stop letting everybody else take credit for things that other people are saying. Because like I said before, voters, please, for God's sakes, don't listen to what you want to hear. Listen to what you know. Accept what you know. I'm your mayor. Unfortunately, I was put in the mayor's position because of a death. But I think I've done a good job. I think I've done an excellent job. And I want to continue with it. And I have a lot of things in progress that I need to be placed back in that office, because I want to turn it over to young folks, but I've never seen them. They've never contributed. I would put them on the zoning board. Like I said, volunteerism is what I need. Neither one of them volunteered. Have never been to council. He's talking about people coming to council. He don't come to council. So I'm finished.
How about you, Mr. Sufi?
Look, my agenda is to create an inclusive environment for collaborations to take place, and that's what lacks here. So, I discussed this if you visited my website. My plan is to appoint ambassadors from different ethnic groups, and appoint an ambassador from the business community, appoint an ambassador from the interfaith community, appoint an ambassador from the Ethiopian, Somali, of African American, and give them incentives to come to city council meetings. and make those ambassadors also responsible for what is going on in the schools. If schools want to collaborate with parents from a particular ethnicity, they contact that ambassador and speak with him. And if we can get all these ambassadors to come and give them responsibilities, I think we could bring a lot more people to the plate. I think we can start somewhere. I believe we are going to have to start from scratch. Okay? The achievements the mayor speaks about, unfortunately, nobody else knows. Right? Getting fares to Albuquerque and all that is really cool. But what deals have we made for the city on our behalf? If you speak with somebody, if you go out and meet with investors, I think you need to cut us a deal. What have you brought? Have you brought a business to the city? I think if we can create this environment for collaboration to take place within the residents, get back the trust that we need as an administration, it's going to be a start, and that's what I'll be working to do.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes. I've actually enjoyed going to city council and work sessions. I've been to several over the past year and a half, and I'm kind of like one of those nerds about government. I love, learning about and hearing about zoning ordinance issues and permitting things and legislation, of course. Something I always enjoy. Just kind of love doing it. I do remember the first city council meeting I came to. It started off, okay, it was interesting discussion. However, it descended into some arguments and some bickering, and it kind of left me feeling, as a citizen who was coming to the city council for the first time, with a feeling that things weren't quite right on the council. And so that was my encouragement to investigate more about how what's going on in our city and the opportunities we have.
So you want to improve the city council?
Well, I think that we have an opportunity for a fresh start. I don't have any disagreements or past issues with any members of the city council. I think it's fantastic that we'll have 2 new city council members up there next year. Some of the things I hear just from folks at the door are on 2 fronts, and that's about the need to promote more public art and more arts in our community, and also more sports. I was talking with a gentleman yesterday who said, we should have an arts council, an official public arts council, an official public arts policy with the city of Clarkston. Many other cities have done this. It's a way to reduce crime, provide more sort of buy-in and a feeling of place in our community. And also it's great for our youth. I think with the sports council we can promote sports in all season for all ages. We promote healthier bodies, healthier minds, and it helps, of course, with team building skills. I played soccer and I ran cross country in high school, and it was very formative to me to have that team building exercise. That's it. Thank you.
What is your understanding of the refugee resettlement process, and how will you work within that framework to serve the refugees in our community?
I've already been working with it. I've gone to Washington 4 times and have solved a lot of problems that we have with our refugee community.
What kind of problems did you solve?
Neither one. Well, we had a problem with that. They weren't receiving their services that they were adequately supposed to have. And I don't know where Mina is, but there's a lady, there's an example right there. She wasn't receiving the services she needed, but we got it. We went and picked up the phone and made 4 phone calls, and it was solved. I'm pretty sure neither one of these gentlemen are aware of the director of Office of Refugee Resettlement. Do either one of you know his name?
Yes.
What's his name?
I know his name.
What's his name?
I came with that program.
What's his name?
I came with that.
Say,
Joshua.
His name is not Joshua, folks. His name is Eskinder Nagash. He is director, the national director. Our state director is Michael Single. You see, these are the things I'm talking about. I love these guys for coming out. I love them for coming out for office.
The point is,
if you don't know what you're talking about, why are you going to jeopardize your community?
the point is,
I'm so frustrated
Wait, Mr. Mayor.
that I want to say things, and they're gonna hinder me from saying them. But I want to talk to a lot of you after this meeting, because I can tell you some things that you don't even know about. And see, they're politicking. I'm not politicking. I've never been a politician, and I'm not going to start being one. I'm just going to be Emanuel Ransom, your mayor, period. I'm finished.
How about you, Mr.
Look, I came to this country as a refugee 10 years ago with a world relief. Fortunately, I spoke English when I came, and things were a little bit more easier for me than the other communities that are coming now. What we need to do is help the immigrants who are coming now assimilate to the American way of life, and at the same time preserving their cultures. Because we are a city of multi-ethnic backgrounds, multicultural.
So you believe that diversity is key?
That is our only strength in this city. And I think we need to exploit that to put this city on the map. Okay. Now, I was brought by an agency called World Relief, and the director of that agency is called Joshua. All right. I will work with him because I think some of the immigrants who are coming now need a lot more help into, I mean, I see Bhutanese kids, I see their moms pushing them down in shopping carts in Indian Creek. I don't want to see that. I think we could correct that if we work with the agency that brought them, we work with the community that was here before them, and say, listen, let's have an orientation and for a week or two, okay, and show them how to get around, show them what we need to do. I haven't seen a campfire in an apartment, but if they have campfires in an apartment and say, this is not what we need to do, okay, we don't put campfires in apartments here, or the other allegations that exist from immigrant communities. So I think the collaboration between city government, the agencies that bring these refugees, and the community that has been there before them can solve the problem.
What about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, so I think as many of y'all know, we currently have an informal moratorium and an agreement with the refugee resettlement agencies as well as the governor of Georgia to not place any new refugees into the city limits of Clarkston unless there's family members who are living in the city. That moratorium doesn't extend to the zip code 30021. So I think it's crucial for the city to work with the federal government and the state government to provide continuity, at least in geographic placement of future refugees. I'm not one of those people who think that we have a refugee problem. I do sympathize with some folks who say that we've been getting too many refugees. And I think there's a balance there. There's a win-win solution. That's something that I'm always looking out for. I think that we can work together in a positive way.
So what do you plan on doing with like the people that say there's too many refugees that are coming? Do you have a plan?
Yeah, you know, I think the current the current statements from the governor, in terms of just the language that's used. You know, anyone who comes into our country from anywhere in the world should be welcomed. You know, these are potentially going to be new Americans, and I'm very proud to have them as new Americans. Unfortunately, the Governor Deal, in speaking to the Republican State Convention a couple months ago, referred to the issue of refugees as a problem. He said that Obama was was dumping refugees in Georgia, and that he's trying to create more Democrats in Georgia, and I found that to be offensive. He also said that they could potentially be terrorists. And to me, that kind of language and rhetoric does not serve well to create a more unified community. And now, in terms of just very specific actions, we have to work with the apartment complex owners to provide better services. I mean, where they live, where they grow their own food, potentially in community gardens, I think is key. And the ones who are the slumlords, we have to find a way, and we have to move immediately to condemn those properties or at least fix them up.
You have all mentioned Clarkston's diversity and the need for inclusion, specific to refugee population. Would you support and or be willing to draft legislation to include them as voters in city elections?
Would I draft a resolution
to allow refugees to be able to vote for the mayor position?
that have not become an American citizen?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
No, I would not support that resolution.
Why not?
Because they have to earn it, like everybody else did. He earned his American citizenship. I earned mine. Everybody else out here earned theirs. I mean, it's a privilege to be an American. Why do we have such an influx of refugees coming to this country? Because they want to be Americans.
So you feel like you should earn-
we're going to deny the right to vote to somebody else that's a criminal, and then we're going to give a refugee that comes in to accept our hospitality the right to vote? I don't think that'd be fair at all. No, I would not support a resolution like that at all, period. Because I went to war for my country, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people out here that did it, and I don't think they would think it would be fair for us to go pass a resolution as legislators to allow people that we invited into our country to vote right off the bat when they come in here. I think that's the reason why the length of time to earn your citizenship is to learn about your country. And like I keep trying to tell them, these guys have no knowledge of Clarkston, of what goes on in Clarkston. That's the same way with the country. I would not at all pass a resolution to give somebody the right to vote that didn't earn it. No, no ma'am, I won't.
What about you, Mr. Sufi?
I don't think that's a municipal level of discussion. I mean, people have to earn citizenships to vote. And if we were to make legislations to allow people to vote, it would not be a decision that I make individually. It would be a decision that the citizens of the city make, collectively.
So you are against it as well?
It's not a decision I'm going to make.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Terry?
I support the concept of what you're saying. Secretary of State Brian Kemp is in charge of all the elections in Georgia. He would never allow it. They just, in order to become a registered voter in any municipality or district in Georgia, you have to be a citizen and you have to live in that area, obviously. But I support the concept of it. And one of the things that I've noticed just by going door to door in some of the apartment complexes and just even in the neighborhoods are that there are a lot of people who aren't registered to vote but are eligible. And so one of the keys that we have to do is have more voter registration drives. The people who are citizens, who are new citizens, who are eligible have to be encouraged to, one, register to vote, but also to participate in the process. One of the things that we talked about at a previous visioning meeting was the idea of having our city council meetings, work sessions, town hall meetings videotaped and put up on the internet. And you working with the city that is currently providing transcripts in different languages of the meetings, but provide those translations for the videos as well, whether in subtitles or just voiceovers. That would encourage people who do not have a firm grasp of English to still understand what's going on, and even though they may not speak the language, but they still can vote, they should be involved. That's a combination of going door to door, talking to people, working with the refugee resettlement agencies. When they know that there's new citizenship tests being delivered and the ones that pass, they're encouraged to register and to be involved. And I support that 100%.
Okay. If elected, what would you do to encourage new investment in our city?
What would I encourage? Well, as everybody knows, a visual aspect of anything is a successful venture. Because I know when I sit down at a meal and I see a beautiful meal, I'm hungry and I eat it. It's the same way with Clarkston. We have a downtown town center that is very unattractive. And I love this city. And I can tell you, it's very unattractive. And when we have almost 33,000 cars pass that intersection down there and come straight through Clarkston and keep on going, folks, there's something wrong somewhere. We need to think about it. Why don't they stop? Because like one man said from Patillo, he came down here at 11 o'clock at night, and he said, I wouldn't move my family down here. Because his wife asked him, well, where are you? He said, I'm in Clarkston. She said, well, where the devil is Clarkston at? We need to invest in, they're talking about relationships with our business owners downtown. Folks, I have gone to almost every business owner that owns the building, not the business in the building, but owns the property, to ask them to come with me so I can get them grants for facade grants to do the buildings, to make them beautiful. And guess what? They were very reluctant to do it. Why? Because If they did it, they'd have to go up on the rents, period. So it's up to us to say, this is what we want. Come to your city council and tell them, investigate. These guys don't. I know where the grants are. They don't. They know everything because they're telling you what you want to hear. But I'm telling you the truth. We can make downtown beautiful, walkable, folks. Close off Market Street and make that a whole walkable promenade in there. Have all your businesses outdoors, whole festivals, whole music festivals and everything. Right down. That's my vision, period. And I brought a picture of what downtown could look like when everyone want to see it after the meeting. Because it's a vision that I've had for years, and you need to put me back in the office so it can happen.
His response made me forget the questions.
If elected, what would you do to encourage new investment in our city?
I go back to relationships. I think we need to have relationships between and partnerships between public-private partnerships. Okay. Yes, downtown is definitely not attractive. For people to come to your city and invest, from a business standpoint, they have to see an incentive. They come to the city, nobody wants to put any business in the city. So I think, I personally feel that investments have been made with taxpayer money here that could have been used a lot better. Okay, when your resources are very limited, how you spend your money is critical. I think we could have done landscaping, for example. We could have had a wonderful landscaping. So I would make relationships with businesses, individuals. Mayor Ransom meets a lot of millionaires who can potentially come down to the city and do something. When I go to those meetings with those millionaires, I will close a deal. I'll bring businesses to the city. So it's all about relationships. We need relationships with county officials, state officials, the private sector, relationships with everybody. Having the relationships and not cutting a deal for the city doesn't work. I mean, look, magic is not going to happen. We have to be the people to start the miracle. Right? So it needs a lot of involvement from everybody.
What about you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, thank you for the question. So there's, I mentioned the Downtown Development Authority as an actual sort of panel of people who really his main job is to create, with citizen and public input as well as business owner input, to create a theme, if you will, an idea of what they want downtown to look like. So I think it's important that we engage all of our citizens and all of the public and business owners and potentially future business owners in that process. There are certain things that they can do, whether they're tax allocation districts or enterprise zones. There's a lot of technical things that they can do. But also it's just about, like everyone's mentioned before, it's about building relationships. And if one person was going to go out and try to lobby business owners or potential investors in the city on their own, I think that would, that's probably effective, I guess. I think it's important to have a unified front, so to speak, of members of the city council as well as other business owners, community members who say, no, look, I've got my business in Clarkston, or I'm getting ready to invest, and you should invest as well. I've talked to several residents who just, they're looking at investing $50,000, $100,000 just in Clarkston, just because they want to, this is an interesting community, they like where the potential's going, and they're willing to take that risk. And so I think it's important for the council, the future Downtown Development Authority, to say to those potential people that we're going to be with you, that we're going to work with you to bring in more small, medium-sized businesses. We want to encourage them to have higher-paying jobs with benefits. I think everyone recognizes that minimum wage at $7.25 an hour, someone working 40 hours a week, is still below the poverty line, and that's unacceptable to me. I don't want to live in a community where someone who works hard and works full-time still does not make enough to pay for food, rent, or medical care or gasoline. Those prices have gone up, and the real value of their wages have gone down. So I want to encourage more higher paying jobs. I think a great example is we have one Dollar General. It's fine, we have a Dollar General. We have a Family Dollar moving in now, and I feel that we need less Family Dollars and more independent businesses.
Thank you. In January 2014, a multi-unit interior property maintenance ordinance is scheduled to come into effect in order to improve living conditions in the apartment complexes in our city. As mayor, what else would you do to improve these conditions for our residents in the apartment complexes?
Well, as mayor, I don't think it would be my privy to improve that. That's an excellent ordinance. I mean, we fought for a long time. For I don't know how many years did we fight for that, Diane, for that maintenance thing. Yeah, I mean, it took time to put it together, to research it, to go down and ask questions, go into the complexes and see what the conditions are. See what. And my main thing was the common areas were very bad. I mean, but I don't think any of you were here except for me and Joni when we went into where Clarkston Station is. We had a task force. We took a task force in there. We almost shut that place down. But guess what, folks? They spent $19 million on renovating that place. Look at English Oaks. Same way. It was a public-private partnership. It was not government money that went into Avalon. Period. See, that's what I'm talking about. Know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my city. And I cannot improve that ordinance. I tell you what, let's throw it out and let you guys run it and see what happens. It would be anarchy. And I think this council has done an excellent job drafting and fighting that ordinance. We all don't agree on, when we discuss, like Mr. Terry said, we were bickering. See that? Putting out that false information, making you feel that it's a conflict between me and the council. I mean, if you wanted a yes man, you ain't gonna get it from here, period. And that ordinance is a great ordinance, and I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
What about you, Mr.
Look,
Sagal?
I think it's very important to understand the tools the mayor has in this city. This is a ceremonial, all right? But personally, if there are living conditions that are not sustainable, that cannot be, it's not good for human consumption, then we should address it appropriately and speak with the people who are responsible for that to
So
take
if
action.
something is happening, you believe you should do something
Absolutely,
about it?
absolutely, absolutely. And that's all I have to say on it.
What about you, Mr. Terry?
I think the new ordinance that will go into effect in 2014 is fantastic. But this is one of the tools that city governments have to, and everyone, I think you kind of mentioned it, but what we're talking about here is for the city to, in order for apartment complexes to renew their business licenses, they have to have every individual unit inspected. The only concern I have with that is the sheer volume of inspections that will have to take place. The city doesn't have the resources to do that in a timely manner. So it's going to take several years and it'd be a graduated type of a situation. So what we have to do is let the apartment complex owners and certainly the property managers know that that we want to work with them to improve the conditions of for their residents. If there is a resident or if there's a concern, if there's an alarm that has to be sounded, let's say that there's a complex that won't get inspected until 2 years from now, but we know, or someone has brought to our attention, that there are dire concerns here and that we need you to look at it and inspect it right away. I think there should be processes for us to tackle the most egregious violations of slumlords in Clarkston. Right near my house on Smith Street, there's two very small apartment complexes. There's, I have to say, I walk by it all the time. And a couple months ago, one of the top floors caught on fire. There were 6 fire trucks out there, and it was a huge safety hazard for the entire neighborhood, as well as the residents there. The one right next to it, there's trash everywhere, there's broken bottles everywhere, there's kids playing barefoot in the parking lots at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we have to focus on the worst case complexes first. But I support the ordinance, and I want to make sure that it's successful.
And our last question. During campaign season, candidates are actively reaching out to sectors of our community. If elected, give examples of how you will continue to engage our residents.
Well, I engage residents almost every day. There's not one day I'm not riding around the city talking to somebody or stopping and seeing we have a new resident in the city. I mean, the contact is what, what pays off. That's how people know me. Like I told Sharon Barnes-Sutton, she's our district commissioner. I says, you go out and stand on that corner, nobody would know you. People know me. They know who I am. They know how active I am in my community. And, you know, it's such a shame. Like I keep saying, information is a tool, a definite tool to have. Smith Street complexes, those two at 1000 Smith Street, are being taken care of. The inspections are not the responsibility of the city. The city doesn't have the staff to do it. We do not do the inspections. They set up a program within 5 years, they will have 100% total inspections of all the complexes in the city of Clarkston. So give your city council credit for that. Don't listen to these candidates. They're telling you what you want to hear. They keep telling you, and it just irks. I'm so frustrated. I would love for them to have the information. I would love for them to have been out here in the fight with us. And so I could say, I need a volunteer to sit on my zoning board. Oh, there's Mr. Terry. Oh, he's always coming to meetings. He's always been involved. He's doing cleanups. See, he's doing things that we already done. We need him to do something we haven't already done. We need him to come out here. 1 or 2 council meetings in 4 years is nothing, honey. I got a long record of meetings. I go to meetings every day. I'm occupied 7 days a week going to meetings for you guys, not for them, for you guys, to bring you back the information that you need and the resources that you need. He's talking about me knowing millionaires. I do. I do. Air, bed, and breakfast. He's a multi-billionaire. He's coming here. But guess what? He's got to be able to see something where he's going to be able to invest his money and say, these people want me here, and they will spend money there. See? So I want y'all to elect me mayor. And let's stop all this crap. And let's get on with the business of the city.
What about you, Mr. Sufi?
Look, this is hype that normally builds up during election season, as usual. But what is bad is that this is election season, and there's no hype. There's barely anybody coming here, right? People are fed up of listening to Clarkston, okay? I will encourage the same things Mary and Adam Hoyt are doing. More of that. And I've said that at her meeting. I've said that at Sister Betty Amin's meeting. Sister Betty Amin has had a meeting in our house. But I've said the same thing in both of those meetings. I say, look, I told Sister Betty Amin and everybody who was sitting there, look, everybody who is sitting here is African American. That's fine, but we need to make this bigger and more inclusive. We need to create the awareness and knock at everybody's door and get people a reason for them to invest in the city. When you make an investment from a business standpoint, I put last $50,000 I had in the business, I'm going to make sure it doesn't fail. So if we can raise that awareness in the residents of the city to invest in their city, then we're not going to fail. And I've said the same thing in Mary Hoyt's house. I say, look, I really like this. And that was the first time I went to her house. I said, but we need to make this more inclusive and bigger. This is predominantly a white group here today. Yeah, it didn't bother me. I love to sit in there. But I think it would be more effective if we had a bigger group with people who are concerned. If we start with the basic things. Look, public safety education is something everybody has in common. I don't care where you come from. I've got 4 kids. John next to me has got 2 kids. Mary up the street has got 2 girls. So public safety is common. If we can initiate that public safety and education is key, and we go to everybody's house and say, listen, we are trying to start something here, we want you to be a part of it, I think we'll keep it a long term. But at the current state, we're in a bad shape.
What about you, Mr. Terry?
Yeah, so it's a great question. The current the current way for the public to be involved with the city council right now is at work sessions and at city council meetings. You know, there's a legal reason and a bureaucratic reason why these meetings have to take place once a month. Currently, the public comment period is only 3 minutes. Now, if the council has any desires to expand that, starting in 2014, I would support that. However, I think it's important for there to be a 3rd meeting. where the public doesn't have to listen to the politicians speak. In fact, the people have to get to speak, and the politicians have to listen to them. And so this is this is the idea of a town hall meeting. This is that third meeting every month where it's not about us, it's about y'all. That's very important. Another way to really engage the community, I think, is through the faith traditions. Obviously, we have a ethnically diverse population. We also have a religiously diverse population. I've noticed in my time working in government that there's some people who just will never go to a city council meeting or a town hall meeting. They just don't like the business of governing. They don't see it as an important part of society. But they do see church, they do see synagogue, they do see mosque and temples to be a part of their daily routine. So it's crucial for the elected officials and the mayor to be a part of those faith traditions. It turns out that we all kind of agree a lot in this idea of a golden rule, and that you should treat others how you would want to be treated. And I think that's an important gesture for the city council to reach out to those religious leaders. And I will make a pledge right now that as the mayor, I will never personally enforce the zoning or the laws in Clarkston. I think the ordinance laws and the police work should be left to the police and the quality of life officers.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. But thank you, Mr. Ransom, Mr. Sufi, and Mr. Terry, as well as all of you who came to join us today. This concludes the mayoral election discussion. Election day will be on November 5th, 2013. The candidate elected on November 5th will take office in the month of January 2014. They will be sworn in at the first council meeting of the year. My name is Fernanda Perez, and I have been your host this afternoon. This discussion is brought to you by Sagal Radio in collaboration with Emory University Center for Community Partnership and the City of Clarkston. Thank you.
Can I take a picture before you leave? Can I take your picture? Have a seat. I want to take a beautiful picture of you guys. Let me see your big smile now.